beautiful, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video where we are going to go through my last year's yearly favorites, like the favorites of 2021. Where are they now? Are they still favorites? Are they even still in my collection? Did I declutter any of these? Did I change my mind? We're gonna go through them and we are gonna see what happened to the favorites of last year. And if you haven't been here before, if this is your first video here, hello, my name is Angie. I'm such a lover of beauty makeup. I love everything beauty and makeup related. And if you want to see some more makeup content on your timeline, don't forget to subscribe because right now I'm uploading every day until Christmas. I'm also super excited to be working with Ana Luisa again. If you're not new in my channel, you know that I've been talking a lot about Ana Luisa before. They just make the most amazing, cute jewelry. And what I really like about Ana Luisa, except the fact that they are carbon neutral and they use recycled materials whenever possible, so you don't have to mine new materials when there's already materials available. And they're also super transparent about where they're getting their stones. They're also really cute designs. I'm wearing these super cute earrings today. These are called the Sawyer earrings, and immediately when I saw these on the website, I knew that these were the ones I wanted to get because these are a mixed metal pair of earrings, and I love stuff like that. I love mixed metals, I love dainty jewelry, I love jewelry that have a little pop of color, and I just think that these are super cute. They're classy but still a little bit more on the modern side, and this is what I think Ana Luisa does so good. They do really classic, classy jewelry, minimalistic, dainty jewelry, but they also do some quirky jewelry so you can mix and match, and they have the most amazing selection of dainty jewelry that are really stackable. So if you have a lot of holes in your ears, you can find a lot of things at Ana Luisa that really go together. I'm wearing another necklace today, and this is called the Penelope necklace, and this is actually a double necklace, and it has this little gem here at the bottom, and it's just a really cute necklace. And I have so many great pieces from Ana Luisa from before, and all of them still look like they are in absolute pristine condition. None of them has stained, none of them has like scratched, none of them has starting to lose their color or their shine. They still look amazing, just like the day that I got them, and these are so great to be stacking. I also have these super cute earrings. I've actually never seen anything like this before. They're like a little hook, and they have little black stones on the front, and these are called the Lay in Black, and these are just so cute. I love dainty jewelry like this that have a little special element to them, like mixing metals or black little stones. I just think that that is so cute and so wearable, and I love wearing stuff like that when I have my hair up, which I, let's be honest, have most of the time. And I'm super excited to be working with Ana Luisa again because these are jewelry pieces that I have been wearing since we started working with each other for years and years ago, and I still wear them and I still bring them out, and I've been gifting them to my mom as well, and she still wears her pieces as well. She wore them when she was here visiting me in Texas, and you can get 20% off at the Ana Luisa website by using the code Angelica20. So I will link the website down below. Don't forget to go and check it out, and thank you for supporting the companies that support me and my channel. Okay, let's get into this video where we're talking about my favorites from 2021 and whether or not they are still favorites in my collection, because I have some thoughts. I brought them out here, and yeah, let me actually even see. We're gonna go through them and we can see, are they all here? Did I declutter any of them? Because I've already filmed my declutters. And I will of course have an upcoming video of my favorites of this year, things that have been released during this year. But yeah, let's talk about these products because I have some thoughts. Oh, and I will link all of these products down in the description box as well in case you're interested, because I'm gonna give you a spoiler. These are all good products. These are all good products, so if they're available, I will link them down below. I also did film this look and it should already be live on my channel, and I will leave a link to that as well down below, together with what items I have on my face and on my eyes, because I really think that this is a banging look. So check the description box for all the info about the things we're going to talk about and the things that I have on my face right now. Let's start with the two foundations that I tried last year that was my favorites of last year. And I'm going to be honest with you, they're both here. They're both here and they're still favorites. This is the Sephora Best Skin Ever. I have mine in 25N. If I forget to say the shade in any of these, I will put that in the description box as well in case you're interested. This is a great foundation. This is a medium coverage with a natural finish, which means that it is matte but not flat. It's like a satin matte. Wears beautifully, looks beautiful on the skin. It is a bit more thinner in the consistency, which I think really helps this to not look cakey on the face. I just think that this is a beautiful foundation. It's very affordable as well. in Sephora pricing, and I really do recommend it if you were wanting to try a new medium coverage foundation. And this is the Fenty Beauty Eavesdrop Blurring Skin Tint. I have it in 2 shades, and when I was doing this favorites, I only had it in this shade, which is number 8. This is slightly too light for me, so I bought it in number 9 too, and I bought it in number 9 in this year. So this is how much of a favorite this is, that I still, the year after, bought another shade because I love this foundation so much. This is also, I would say, a medium coverage with a natural finish, but this one is slightly more shiny or dewy or like satiny than this one. This is more of a, it's more of a soft matte finish. It's matte, but I don't think that it looks powdery on the skin. But if you have dry skin, this might not be your favorite. This is the foundation that is my most trustworthy foundation. If I'm gonna be out all day, this is the one I go for. If I am going somewhere where I know it might be humid, where I know it might be warm, where I know it might be sweaty, this is the one. I can trust this one, and I know it's gonna look good, I know it's gonna wear good, and I know it's gonna look good but not too cakey on the skin. I really like this one. I used this like 2 days ago, the last. It's beautiful, honestly. Next we had 2 concealers, and I have them here. It is the ABH Magic, I think it's called Magic Touch Concealer, and then it is the Fenty Bright Fix Concealer. Both of these I really like, but I have discovered new favorites this year, and I will say, now that I had discovered new favorites, I realized that this one is very easy to go overboard with. You need the smallest amount, and if you use too much, it's gonna look cakey and it's gonna be a little creasy. But if you use very little of this, it looks beautiful. This one is really pretty though. This is a medium coverage concealer. I haven't been using this as much this year because I actually discovered a medium coverage concealer this year that has a packaging that's easier to use than this one, because this has one of those squirty tubes that you have to like put somewhere and then on your face. And I have discovered another medium coverage concealer that is cheaper than this one and wears and looks as good as this one. And we're gonna talk about that, of course, in my yearly favorites. These are still in my collection. I'm still gonna be using these and using them up or decluttering them when they get too old. There's nothing wrong with these, but I have found new favorites this year that I like even more, and I can't wait to share them with you, so keep an eye open for the favorites. Let's talk about a cream bronzer. This is the ABH cream bronzer. I have mine in Golden Tan. This was one of the first cream bronzers that I really fell in love with. I also really love the Soul Body one from before, and I love the Milk one from before as well, but this is the beginning of the craze of cream bronzers. Again, this is a beautiful cream bronzer. It's still in my collection, but I have found ones this year that are even better than this one. So this is good, but it's no longer my favorite. Oh, let's talk about something that I'm actually wearing today, and this is still my favorite, and this is still reigning supreme, and this is the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen. I have this in 2 different shades. This one is in taupe, which is a slightly lighter one. I'm actually wearing the ash brown today because I knew I was doing this super smoky eyes and wanted to have more defined brows. But yeah, I really like this one. I have repurchased this several times. It is an amazing brow pen. This is the one where I draw in hairs like this. You see these hairs here? Yeah, I drew this in with this one. This is a brush tip applicator. It is the best pen to draw in brow hairs with that I have tried. And I have tried expensive ones, I have tried affordable ones. This one from NYX is the best one. I have not loved any one as much as I love this one since I tried it. I will link it down below. It is what I'm wearing today. It is what I'm still wearing every time I do my makeup. Cannot recommend this one enough. It truly is that good, and I am so worried that NYX is gonna discontinue it because they have a habit of discontinuing and everything that's somewhat good.
Please don't discontinue that, NYX. I will riot.
Next one is actually something that I don't have in my collection, but I don't have it in my collection for a really good reason, and this is the Lash Sensational by Maybelline, and that is because I actually used it up and I had it in my recent declutter, and I have since then thrown those things out. And that one that I had in my declutter, that was not the one that I talked about in my yearly favorites. I have since then used it up, repurchased the mascara, and again used it up. So I will definitely be repurchasing this mascara again. It is a beautiful mascara. I think it's worth the hype. This is a mascara that for me is very lifting and elongating. I don't think that this is especially volumizing. This is if you want lifted and longer lashes. I think that this one is the best for that. I don't think that this is the best volumizing mascara. If this is what you're after, this is just a very elongating mascara, and that's what I love in a mascara. Oh, we have a blush. This is something that was released last year, and this is the Clinique Cheek Pop Pearl in Coral Pop. This is number 3. This formula, I think it's still available. I will link it down below. I know that this shade, which is like a corally leaning on the orange side, I know that this one wasn't available at Sephora when I bought it because I bought it somewhere else. But it does come in several colors. It is a beautiful sheer, shimmery, like it has a sheen. This is not a super glowy or a highlighty or a glittery. This is a sheer buildable blush with a very believable and wearable sheen that I think a lot of people would really like. It is a beautiful blush. It is still in my collection. I still think it's beautiful. It's definitely not getting decluttered. I haven't used it for a bit though. Should I use it today? I don't even know if I have any blush on. I tried some blush today and it didn't work out as planned. Maybe this one. So maybe let's see if we can put some of this on. Because yeah, this is a beautiful blush. I'm trying to not overdo it, but I do really like how this one looks. And as you can see, and now I'm putting it on top of highlighter, but you can see it didn't really dull the highlighter. It still has a beautiful sheen. There is some color here. You saw I went in several times, so it's not overly pigmented. It's just a really beautiful and easy formula to work with. And if you were looking for a sheeny blush but you're afraid that it's going to be sparkly or too much, I would recommend this one. It is a really nice one. If you want a super sheeny blush, I would check out my yearly favorites that's coming because I already know what I'm going to be mentioning. Oh, the next one I also have in my collection, it is right here, and this is the Juvia's Place Eye Prep Eye Prime Eye Primer. This is a beautiful eye primer, and I go back and forth with this one a lot. This is usually the one, I have it in 2 shades. This is number 1, I have number 2 here somewhere as well. This one is the one I use when I do cut creases because it is lighter than my skin tone. Number 2 is slightly darker than my skin tone. That one I use if I am gonna do, if I don't want a bright like brow bone, which I usually don't want, and I'm gonna be working with some deeper colors in the crease, I think that that one is absolutely beautiful. Right now I'm using the Sigma one because I'm back on the Sigma primer train. I think that's a beautiful primer and I really, really love it. But I will say, I love this one. I've been using this for so long since it came out. I think this is a great primer. If you just wanted to go to Ulta and buy a primer in store, definitely this one. I think it's beautiful. Don't use too much though. Less is more when it comes to primer. Don't look too much at the Instagram stars. They're just packing on primer. You don't need that much primer. Less is more, definitely. Ooh, these I'm also wearing today. I put the empty packet in here. These are the Vive half lashes. These are in smoky. Yeah, these are in smoky. These are the half lashes I'm wearing today. I have been so into half lashes. I feel like I discovered half lashes last year, and it was after I was like doing some half lashes myself, like cutting some of my lashes up, trying to make some half lashes for my face. And I will say the Vive ones have been really, really good. And I also discovered this year the bright lashes. The Vive half lashes are a little bit more on the dramatic side. The bright lashes are a little bit more on the I don't want to say wearable, but a little more on the natural side. Not as long, not as thick, but I really do love the Vive lashes still. And this is not the pair that I talked about in last year's video. I have since then repurchased the half lashes from Vive. They're still a favorite and I still use them at least once a week. Ooh, let's get into some lip products, shall we? Because I mentioned 3 different lip products that was released last year that I mentioned as like favorites of the ones that had came out. The first one I want to mention is the Sigma lip oils. I feel like last year is the year where I discovered lip oils, and I'm surprised when I'm looking at this list, I'm surprised that the Colourpop lip oils were not on there because they have definitely been a favorite for me. I'm surprised that those weren't on the list, but I love the Colourpop lip oils, and I will say now looking at the list, I'm surprised they're not on the list. The Sigma lip oils are amazing as well. I have 3 colors here. I did get rid of the clear one because I never used that one. So I kept 3 of the colors, and I have built the 3 colors that they have. I'm still hoping that one day Sigma will release lip colors that are not pinks. I'm still hoping for that, like maybe one day, because this one in like even a peach, Even a peach or a chocolate would be amazing. But yeah, this is a beautiful formula. Still have them in my collection, still use them, still think they're wonderful. The next formula is the Cream Lipsticks by Huda Beauty. She released this, it is called Cream Lipsticks. Very innovative. And I have mine in Rasha. It is a beautiful color, and I didn't buy another one, and this formula is fantastic. It is a very, it goes on kind of thin on the lips, very like creamy, and it looks a little glossy, very beautiful, very wearable. My dog is snoring. I don't know if you can hear him. I don't know if you can hear them. Both of them are snoring, but Kaiser is really bad right now. But this is a beautiful formula. It's still in my collection. I was looking at some other colors as well, but this is the perfect color. This is my color, and this is Rasha. So yeah, I haven't bought another color, but doesn't mean that I don't love the one I have less. Then I mentioned the newly formulated Luster Glass lipsticks from MAC. This new formula came out last year, and I have two colors, and this is Thanks It's MAC. And I also have it in Business Casual, which is a wearable red, and I feel like this was the year, 2021 was the year when I realized that these kind of wearable reds is actually like a shade that I really enjoy wearing. Still in my collection, still enjoy them, still a beautiful formula. I kind of hope that MAC would come out with more shades in this. Maybe they have, because this is a really nice formula. I should actually check on that. Because I still love the formula. They're still in my collection. They're still here. I think we're getting into eyeshadows now. And one of the things I mentioned that I think they started coming out with last year was the Colourpop quads. And if this isn't your first video here, you have heard me go on and on and on and on about the Colourpop quads. Love the Colourpop quads. I think they're great quality. Of course, I still have them in my collection. I still mention them, and Colourpop is still releasing them. They actually sent me a collection recently with some Colourpop quads, and I hope to see in the future Colourpop quads that are more in this kind of a I don't say color story, but this kind of a composition. A super light, a super dark, a duochrome, and a shimmer. I would love to see more like this, and I would also like to see quads that are more in the two tones. This is a little bit more in the two tones, but like something that's like two greens and two yellows, two blues and two purples, two pinks and two reds, two browns and two yellows. Like I would love to see those kind of quads from Colourpop, because I really think that they could be smashing it out of the park if they just went a little bit more creative with the quads. I think that they could make some really kick-ass color combos. But yeah, I still love the quads. I still think they're great quality, and they're still in my collection. The next one I mentioned, and I have a couple of Colourpop palettes. Let me see if I can pull them out. And all of these Colourpop palettes are still in my collection. I mentioned the Lush Life. I love the Lush Life. I'm kind of sad that this one came and went, because I think that this is such a good color story that would appeal to both someone who loves color and someone who loves neutrals, because it is a half neutral palette and a half blue-green palette, and I think they had such a good mix, because you can do a all colorful look if you want to. There are matte green, matte blue, some shimmery greens and blues, and then there are these warm orangey bricky neutrals that are really good. This is a really good quality palette, really good quality mattes, good quality shimmers in great packaging. And yeah, I still have it. I still like it. It's definitely still a favorite. Oh my god, I need to clean up here so I can it is a mess. The next one I mentioned was actually the Colourpop and Tinkerbell palette, and I'm pretty sure that this one has come back and it is like in stock again. Still recommend this one. Again, I feel like they had a really good mix here. So if you didn't want to go like super bright, you have two neutral like mattes here where you could go a little bit more demure in the crease and just add a little green in the outer corner if you didn't want to go all in green with this one. This is really good quality, a good quality palette, good shimmers, good mattes, good packaging. Just all in all, a really good palette, and I still recommend this one. It's still in my collection, it's still a favorite. I still think that this is a really good palette from Colourpop. And then we had this one, and I recently like recommended this one as one of the palettes that I thought people should pick up now that Colourpop was having a sale for Cyber Monday. I think this is a great palette. This is the Or Kid You Not. Honestly, this is some of the best quality that Colourpop has ever made. The mattes are incredible. Pigmented, beautiful, really nice to layer, really nice to blend. And if you were looking for some berry colors to add to your collection, I would highly recommend this one. It is as good, if not better, than some high-end alternatives. Maybe it doesn't have as much dimension when it comes to like the ratio between light shades and dark shades, because there are no light mattes in this one, but the quality unbeatable. It's a really good palette. Like, I cannot sing its praises enough. This is the Kaleidos Flower Punk palette. This one came out last year, and I still think this is a beautiful palette. It's still in my collection. Like, you remove the lid like this. Someone told me, you can see that this is fairly well used. Someone told me that this one was discontinued and no longer available, and that is a shame because it is a really good palette, but it's beautiful. It's still in my collection. I didn't declutter it. I think it's really pretty. This was one of the best things that happened last year, and that is that Ace Beauty decided to reformulate their palettes. I have two of the reformulated palettes here. This is the Blossom Paradise, which is the red and pink one. I love the combo between red and pink. This is a beautiful palette. And then I also have my favorite from the Paradise collection, and this is the Classical Paradise. It is a wonderful fall scheme, but a little grungy, and it goes really deep. And what I really like about this new formulation with Ace Beauty is not only is it a total 180 from what their mattes were before. This is a pigmented, buildable, blendable, wonderful formula that really deepens up, and you're able to just build and build and build and blend, and it's just such a nice matte formula. Really like the shimmers as well. It's that nice like shimmery putty formula. I just think that these are great. And the reformulation is amazing, and since then they have come out with even more palettes. They just recently released 2 palettes in this new formula, and I cannot recommend the reformulation from Ace Beauty enough. It truly is that good. It truly is that good. Something else that was released last year, and I have the reformulation here, and I don't think that this is the one that I talked about in my yearly favorites, and this is from Unearthly Cosmetics, and this is the Lore palette. But I am fairly sure that the Lore palette that I mentioned in last year's favorites was from Alien Cosmetics before she renamed her brand to Unearthly Cosmetics. And since then she has re-released the Lore palette in this newer packaging, which is fairly similar, but of course it says Unearthly Cosmetics, and in the pants that Unearthly Cosmetics has. Still the same great color story. I think this is a really great palette, and I quite recently talked about this palette as the palette. If you have never tried Unearthly Cosmetics, I would recommend you to start with this one. So yeah, I would definitely say that this is still a favorite. This is the palette that I would recommend you to start with if you have never tried Unearthly Cosmetics. It really is that good. And Oden's Eye is one of my favorite brands. I have since then actually collabed with Oden's Eye myself for my own palette, and I mentioned the Earth palette, which is here. It survived my declutter. And I also mentioned the collab palettes that they did before my collab palette, which is the Red Dragon palette with Judy. Still here, survived my declutter. This is the Giant Wolves palette with Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner, still here, and the Hummingbird palette with Tina from The Fancy Face. Yeah, these are still really good palettes. They're still in my collection. I love Oden's Eye, and I still think that these hold up in my collection quality-wise. I also mentioned the Norns palette. This also came out last year, in the beginning of last year actually. Such a pretty palette. This last row of shimmers is what shimmers are made of. Such a beautiful palette, and this is also the first time that Oden's Eye had a multi-chrome in their palette. This is one of those pink, gold, green multi-chromes. Really beautiful palette, still here. I mentioned 2 palettes from Natasha Denona. This is the Circle Loco. I still think that this is a really beautiful palette, but I don't use this as much as I might reach for my other palettes. Not only for like wearing on the eyes, but also for like comparisons and companion palettes and, you know, recommendations. I think this is discontinued. This was really good quality. I just wish that she would have done this as a midi palette. I understand why she didn't, because she was like, this is limited edition, and like when it's gone, it's gone. Wait, let me put this away. And she wanted to make bigger pants, but I still don't, people don't go through eyeshadows like that. I think she should have just made it into a midi palette. This was my other favorite palette from Natasha Denona last year, and this was the Retro palette. And this is, to date, my favorite palette from Natasha Denona that's still available. I think my absolute favorite is the Metropolis, but that has been discontinued. This is my favorite. I think this is a beautiful palette. Definitely still in my collection. Definitely still a favorite. I still highly recommend that one. And I would say, if you were to start with Natasha Denona today, I've never tried anything from the brand, I would say either the Retro or the My Dream palette that came out this year. That's also a really good palette if you had never tried the brand before. Let's get into BH Cosmetics. I mentioned these 2 palettes. I thought that this was the best palette that was released last year, of course, except Except my palette, the Club Nebula palette that I did with Kaleidos, of course. But I thought that this was the best palette that was released last year. Beautiful formula, beautiful like shimmers, composition, all of this is wonderful. This is still available. This is still one of my favorite palettes, and I definitely recommend this one, especially if you were looking to add something dramatic to your collection. I still think that this is beautiful. I still love that one. And I also recommended and said that this was a favorite, and this is the Lost in Los Angeles, and this is the pastel palette that I would recommend. If you do not own any pastel palettes, this is the one that I would recommend. It also has a killer white matte shadow down here. It is affordable, it is still available, and it is really good quality. Honestly, this is better quality than some high-end like pastels, and I very much would recommend that one if you were looking to add some pastels to your collection. Another favorite that I mentioned, and this is the last favorite palette that I'm going to mention, and that is the Say It collection from BH Cosmetics. These disappeared, but I've seen them come back, and this is, I have the Optimistic AF, which is a fantastic fiery red, orange, yellow palette with some shimmer. This is, oh, it's so good. This is a like a duochrome, one of those like topper shades with the gold shift. Ugh, so beautiful. And this is the Do Not Disturb, which is a beautiful color story with the like very dark and the dark blue and the turquoises, and this is a topper blue. This is the best formula that BH Cosmetics has ever done. These palettes, they have more. I think that they have never surpassed the formula that they have in these, and I am holding my breath, crossing my fingers, saying a prayer that in 2023 we are going to see an equal good formula to this in a new collection from BH Cosmetics, because these are incredible. Incredible, and I still reach for them, and I still use them, and I still recommend them. And if you see them, especially if you see them on sale, they're worth their price and some, but you can also usually find them on sale, and I cannot recommend them enough. Now let's just quickly go into some of the skincare and perfumes that I mentioned last year, because I still have all of those items as well. This one is the Color Wow Dream Coat Supernatural Spray. This is a beautiful like spray that you can spray in your hair when it's damp before you like either blow dry your hair, or you can use it on dry hair and then use a straightener or like a curling iron. This is heat activated though. This will make your hair shiny and get a little bit more body and also less frizzy, which is perfect for me during the winter. This is a beautiful product. I cannot recommend it enough. If you have that super fine hair that get a little, in Sweden we call it electric, but it's like, you know, static. This helps with my staticness so much. It's such a great product. I still love it and use it. And then we have the, well, mine is upside down because I don't have so much left in this one, but this is the Olaplex number 4. This is the purple shampoo from Olaplex. This is the one that I still use once a week on my hair to keep it from getting brassy. It is the Olaplex shampoo, but with a little bit of violet toning in it to keep the brassiness off your hair. This is the violet shampoo I still use. This is the violet shampoo that I've repurchased twice this year. I would highly recommend that one. It's definitely still a favorite. This is the one thing that was in my favorites last year that I actually don't use anymore, and this is the Juvia's Place the Vitamin C Serum. This is the Brighten and Glow Serum, and I don't use this one simply because I have replaced this with other kinds of serums. I don't really have a lot of discoloration in my skin. Even when I do, it's not really a concern of me. I probably should be using a vitamin C serum, but I just never get around to it. So I haven't been using this for a really long time, and I'm excited to let you know in my upcoming favorites what my favorites has been of this year, like when it comes to skincare, because I have found some really fun stuff. And then we have 3 different perfumes that I mentioned, and all 3 of these are still favorites, and I highly recommend them. This is the Kayali Invite Only. It's called Amber 23. Let me actually talk about this a little bit. This is a very sexy, spicy scent that is still on the feminine side. If you were looking for a spicy fall winter fragrance that you can use during like date nights and dinners and evenings, I don't know if this is necessarily a daytime scent, but it is beautiful. It comes in this kind of a smaller bottle and also in those like travel sized thinner ones. This is a wonderful perfume. This is my favorite from Kayali, which is the sisters Huda and Mona Katana, I think, from Huda Beauty, those perfume brand, and I really do recommend that one. It's a beautiful fragrance. I still have it. I still love it. And then we have Demeter's fragrance library in Thunderstorm. This is a repurchase. I used the one I had up. Oh, I love this so much. And I bought the full size, and this smells like rain and grass and minerals and dirt, but in the freshest way possible. And I've told you sometimes that when people say, oh, it smells like water or it smells like rain, I just feel like it smells like a damp cellar, like you need to call someone because you're about to, the value of this house is about to go down abruptly. That's not what this smells like. This smells fresh and just brings back so many childhood memories of playing outside after the rain has stopped, and I just really cannot recommend this one enough. It does come in sampler size. I would highly recommend, if you think that what I'm describing sounds intriguing, highly recommend the sample size. It's actually quite affordable. I really love that one. And like I said, I did repurchase it. This is a fragrance that oh my God, I love this so much. I love this so much. This is the Lab on Fire Paris LA fragrance, and this has notes of Coca-Cola in it. It smells like a fizzy cola drink, but warm and sweet, almost sticky, sweet, sexy. This is a date night perfume for me. When me and Ricardo are going to dinner, going to movies, if I'm going out, this is usually the one I wear. It is extremely expensive, and I've used about down to here of it, and I kind of don't want to use it up because it is really tricky to get a hold of. See if I'll be able to link it down below, and it is fairly expensive, but I cannot recommend this enough. You might think that it sounds weird with a scent that smells like Coca-Cola, but it is weird in the best way possible. And yeah, this is my daytime perfume, and when I run out of this one, I will either repurchase or find something else with the Coca-Cola scent, because now that I have had that in my life, I definitely cannot see my life without a scent like that. Is this gonna stay? Those were my favorites of last year, and if you were keeping up, the only thing that I could not present to you was the thing that I had used up. So these are still my favorites, and this is basically, I know that sometimes we have this discussion of like influencers keep changing their favorites each month from the next month to the next, and then they never mention them again. For me, the reason why I do not do monthly favorites, I do monthly rankings instead, where I review stuff, is because when something's a favorite for me, it's usually a favorite for a really long time. I usually do not change my mind about favorites. I'm very serious about my favorites. When it's a favorite, and I love them forever. And yeah, I don't see myself changing my mind about these. I have since then, of course, discovered some things that I love even more, but that's only because like the makeup community is evolving and things are getting better and better and better. That's just the way that it is. You know, science is moving us forward, but none of these products are bad products. All of these products are good products, and I would still recommend them to you. I think they're really good. Thank you again, Luisa, for sponsoring the beginning part of this video as well. Don't forget to check them out down below, and to use the discount code Angelica20 if you want to save 20% off your order. I do really love the brand. They're very, very giftable as well for Christmas. You do get them like I showed you in this little pouch, so it's very easy and cute to gift if you were wanting to get someone special in your life something nice for Christmas. So yeah, check the description box for that. Also, don't forget to subscribe, because I will see you again tomorrow for a new video. Bye!